know what you want?
How do you know what you want?
Do you help people
Yeah,
figure out what they want? Yes.
yeah, that is, I'm so glad you asked that question because most people don't.
Welcome to the new series, Cocktails and Conversation with Kat and Nat. And we've decided to bring you all of these conversations with people that we like to have where there's a little bit of wisdom, always hilarity and hilaria. Yes. Some famous, some just cool, some drink, some don't drink, but there's always a conversation.
Cheers. Join us.
For those who are just joining us on the podcast, will you just give us a quick synopsis? I fell into your Instagram rabbit hole this morning and it was amazing. So give us a quick rundown of what you are, what you do, and who you are.
I am a dating and relationship coach. I've been doing this for about 15 years since meeting my husband online. And people would come to me and say, well, I tried online dating. It didn't really work. Or isn't online dating just for nerds? And I started out originally as a dating profile writer and then found that people needed more support as they were going through the process of getting to know someone and forming a relationship and ultimately building a life together. So I now am a relationship coach all the way through the process.
Do you do married people or just daters?
I try not to, but sometimes my podcast is Dates and Mates and we talk about dating and relationships, but officially I say pre-date to pre-marriage, but all of the, find that that's really the foundational time. And a lot of the elements, if you haven't set them up in the beginning, you're going to have to work on them again eventually.
Like what? What are all the elements? Like, what if all these people are married and like, oh shit, I missed an element?
No, but you know what? Yeah, I remember someone saying once that like, if you look back at the first things that you argued with your partner about, it's the same thing that usually you still argue about today. Do you think that's true?
Oh, that's really funny. I actually hadn't heard that, but it is
like money,
true.
Sex, in-laws.
I was thinking more of like hygiene, not washing your face with Dial soap.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Amazing.
But really, so there are 4 elements to a strong, long-lasting relationship. The first is trust. And that is set up at the beginning of the relationship. And I find that is one thing that, yes, if it's broken further into the relationship, that one is really hard to fix.
Totally.
It's hard to trust back again, right?
Okay.
And then communication and conflict resolution is another. That is something that if you and your partner are willing to get help and to work with a therapist or a coach or counselor, that I really feel like can be improved, but it requires both people being willing to do the work.
Doesn't it blow your mind that that isn't a course taught in school to like young people, like because you in dating, in business, in everyday relationship, conflict resolution's like number 1. It's so crazy.
And it's so funny also, like really we're talking about not just conflict resolution, but general emotional intelligence. And it's really funny that you bring that up because my daughter is right now on her Zoom school and her teacher was doing a lesson about empathy. And she was like, this is so boring. This is baby stuff. Why am I learning this? And I said, this is so important. You're learning this because we have these kind of conversations in the same way that I talk to my husband and continually work on our communication and our relationship. I do the same thing with our kids. And, you know, I have them like, we've done parenting classes and worked through therapy and all of these skills I want to give them from a young age because I had to learn it a lot later. Right.
Right.
So I'm like, some people are not having those conversations in their household. So this is really valuable that your teachers are willing to take time out of the school day to teach people these skills.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was did we get to number 4? Where that was number 3? I stopped at number 3.
So we did trust, communication, and then shared values. You
did a post on this. I read this and people went bonkers, eh?
People are always going bonkers about
Okay,
something.
yeah,
but,
it is online, right? Fair.
but values are really more important than interests. And sometimes I'll see people saying like, oh, we enjoy all the same activities. He plays tennis, I play tennis. And I'm like, what happens when you blow out your knee, honey? What does this person believe about the world? What are their core values? How do they treat you? What are you building your relationship on? That's ultimately much more important than having things that you can do together. And then
It's so funny you bring that up because I feel like right now with Black Lives Matter and these conversations that I feel like have not happened for many people. The only reason I say this is because I have friends who are having conversations with other friends and their beliefs. They're like, how have I been your friend and I didn't know this is how you felt about, history and racism, and how are we friends based on, and how have we never had this conversation? And, they're really beginning to question their friendships, let alone relationships. I can imagine how many people are now unpacking, jokes that they may have like kind of questioned and been like, wait, and actual beliefs that are now coming into the forefront of, because society is, bringing this up. So it's so interesting.
And then on the other part of that, it's like, people that have the same interests. I feel like a lot of those people get married to the person they can check things off the list. Like, we both like to play tennis. We both grew up in this same neighborhood. There's so many of those box checking kind of
paper.
What
the paper list. Like they're great on paper.
And I'm just thinking to myself, I don't have any of the same interests as my husband.
Me neither. But my wife.
Me either. He's so deep into soccer or football. I'm just like, I have no interest. But he doesn't want to do yoga with me. So that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I just do my yoga.
And that's okay. You're saying you can still be successful. And I actually was watching football with him last night and everyone's like, you don't like football? I'm like, I love watching these men just run around and catch a ball as a joke. And he was like, isn't it? It's the most fascinating sport. I'm like, not at all. I have not an interest in these white men in tights. Not at all.
Well,
a little bit.
It's not bad to look at. Okay. So I just realized, well, the soccer, you can actually see their faces and they do cute haircuts. I just realized, I think my daughter is knocking at the door.
Yeah, go for it.
We're moms.
My husband is taking my son to an appointment. Hold on. I never do this, but let me just make sure she's okay.
Do you.
We'll eat candy.
While we're waiting, we can just edit it out.
I don't mind watching footballers in tight pants.
Can't see them.
We can see the butts.
What am I gonna do with the butt?
Strong legs and their arms. I love their arms, how the sleeves go up so high.
Not much fun.
But she's right, actual soccer, like footy. That's where you can see their faces.
Yeah, no, I'm not like, oh my God, look at his butt on TV. I'm tired. I'm not interested in seeing your man butt.
That's a first. She's she got kicked off of her Zoom. So
do you need to go help her?
Tech support. I told her to bring it back down here. So we can keep going and I'll get her.
You know what the best is? When you're on our podcast, we do it from everywhere and we do it on the fly. And I think our audience appreciates real life moments. So don't even stress it. We never want our women on our podcast to feel like they're torn between family or work or anything. So you help your daughter and
this is real. This is 100% real.
Yeah.
Did we get to the fourth one? All of them are so juicy.
And then
we haven't gotten to the fourth one yet.
Okay, what was that?
Fourth one is common goals for the future. And this is one that a lot of times people put it aside because they think, well, he's got a cute butt. He has all the things on the list, like you were talking about. He's
got a good job.
He has a good job. Yeah. And they're not thinking about things like, would he be a good dad? Do we both want a family? How many kids do we both want? Where do we want to live? Is he okay with me keeping my career if I want to still work? We don't talk about those things sometimes.
If I want to be a stay-at-home mom, or does he want me to go back? I've had people who a mom actually said to me, she was a doctor and she wanted to stay home. And the dad was like, that's not part of the deal. You need to go back to work. And I was like,
oh, she really wants to get back on Zoom. She's
don't stress. You'll get there. Oh, she didn't hear us.
Sorry. Okay. Hold on.
You get yourself on Zoom. We'll have another candy, another Cheeto.
Have another candy. I'm so jealous.
What grade is she in?
5th.
Oh yeah.
I have one of those. Nope, I'm lying. I don't.
do.
You have one of those.
You forget. That's so cute. You're like, wait, whose life is that? Mine.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so
yeah.
shared life or shared
common goals
life
for the
goals.
future, and you have to be on the same page, and you have to have some of these awkward conversations. Like I just did a motivational talk for the Calm app about being brave in love, and I was talking to people both in relationships and single people. We're so afraid of the outcome. If we really speak what we feel or what we want, we're afraid that then that's going to mean the end of our relationship, or that's going to mean that I'm not going to get my needs met, or I'm going to get rejected. So I'm really about right now getting people to speak their truth and what they actually want and feel. These secrets we have, these secret thoughts and feelings, they're eating us alive. And
Will you give me an example of what you mean? Like you're like you're not being fulfilled, or you're like, I wish that we would go, you would start running with me. Like what do you mean we hold these deep secrets about what we want?
well, it's most beneficial if you're looking at it from the perspective of what you can actually change. What in your world do you have control over? You don't necessarily have control over whether or not your partner wants to go running with you. That's up to them.
Got it.
Believe me, I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. It's not going to happen. We got the Peloton bike. There's only one set of shoes clipped in. But something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of housework, and I would love to feel like this is distributed more evenly.
Oh, so a lot of people feel that, but they just won't come out and say it.
My husband does that. He like holds it, and I'm like, I don't know if you need help. If you want me to help you garden, although I did not commit to gardening this Friday night on my night off, I will help you, but you can't get mad at me for not wanting to do it because it's not a passion of mine. So you want to have like that conversation with them.
Right. And you can, like, he could say, it's really important to me. This is my special time, and it really is important to me if you garden with me. And then you can figure out.
He doesn't garden, by the way. That was just an example.
But then you can figure out what the middle ground is that gets both of your needs met. And it's compromise, of course. Everybody has to give a little to take a little.
I feel like
even bigger, though.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like people get married, have maybe like they meet, they get married, and there's like pre-kids, during kids, and then post kids, right? And I feel like you have to constantly check back in. Like there's been times I have definitely thought I'm getting a divorce. You know what I mean? Like just based on the behavior of how I felt about that person. Now, literally no, but that feeling where you're just like, I don't know if this is I don't know what my long-term plan is, but it might not include you. When you I'm sure he's felt the same way, but it's like then you have to figure out what your long-term plan is and what does that look like. So I feel like we're taught as women to get to babies and marriage, and then women stop thinking about that after that babyhood and what's next.
Well, you're really hitting on a very deep-seated cultural issue, I think, that for so long, that was it for women. Like that was our function. It was just like, well, show up, get married, have a baby, and then you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
And right? And
Yes.
Now we're finally moving into a space where your life doesn't end when you have kids. And I think we're struggling in some ways to find our voice and to be able to even design what does that life look like for us, because for so long we were not even afforded the opportunity to ask that question.
And then the other thing is like sometimes you feel afraid to want more and to change and to like because knowing that's not what you went into the relationship, but now you're wanting more, and you're afraid to talk to your partner about it, because there's also, like, we've talked to these people that have said like that sometimes men are just really afraid of a woman being independent and not needing them and going off and doing it on their own. And we definitely changed the game for our husbands, because we were stay-at-home moms, and then we started to do something, and our husbands really had to they really had to get used to that, because it was a huge change. And I think a lot of women would be afraid to jump into it.
I do have to say, they still get all their meals fed to them. All the children's do get dropped off. All the laundry gets done, and all the forms get signed without that. So we changed the game, but apparently,
see, that is a real challenge for women like you and like me, and like, even I'm thinking about my husband's mother, and she started a nonprofit for women who were experiencing domestic violence, and she started this shelter at the time. I think my husband, I almost called him my son. You know what that's like. My husband, I think, was like 3 years old, and so she went back to work, and it was really hard at first, I think, for her husband, who was also working full time, to have that situation. But then the expectation was still that she made the dinner, and that the house was cleaned, and that the kids were taken care of, and they're, I would say, a pretty forward thinking couple of that generation. But even still, I see all of that invisible labor that she used to do, and that she still does. Like, still, when we go and visit at her house, she's still going grocery shopping, getting the food on the table. And I'm just like, Mimi, honey, take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break. You are retired. We have DoorDash. Like, there are other options here.
Instacart.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't have to.
That these conversations, that would you encourage people dating? Like, I often say to Nat, I don't know how I just inherited being the chef. Like, I don't know how that happened. How did I become the chef of the family? I didn't want to be. I'm not a good chef. Like, why am I that person? And I'm like, I wonder if our daughters and sons will now talk like about this conversation of like, well, you're going to cook the meals Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'll cook too. Like, is this the new dating world of our next generation, or is it still invisible conversations or invisible labor, as I'll say?
We are all the product of our environments. So I would imagine, was that the role that was modeled for you?
Right. Exactly. If we keep making all the meals, then
they're going to make all the meals.
Then the women are going to make the meals, and our sons are going to expect someone to serve them.
Right. And it can start with baby steps of even just asking your husband, can you be responsible for dinner once a week? It would really help me. Now that this is the situation, it would really help me once a week. And thinking of how you are modeling it for your kids as well, or just even how you're talking to kids about that. Like, this is one option, but you don't have to live your life. I'm always talking to my kids about that. Like, it doesn't have to be your reality. This is how we do things, but I want you to make your own decisions and build the life and the world that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I make my son make a salad. Like, he's good at making salads, so I make him make the salad. So he, and then everyone eats it. And
then, but even if you don't actually really need your husband's help in making a dinner, just having the conversation with him and say, we want to model for our kids that the man can be capable of doing this. So can you step up just to be an example for our family?
Exactly. Or the other option is just become a terrible cook. Like, I am just the worst in the kitchen. I am a hot mess. My husband doesn't want me anywhere near the stove. My kids, it's an ongoing joke in my household. They're like, oh, mom's cooking. So that's the other option.
We did that with laundry.
Yeah, our husbands do laundry.
We always just left it there dry until it smelled, and they were like, oh, and now it's just never expected that we entered the laundry room.
I did that last week. So I know that trick. Yeah, that's a good one.
And what about what about second relationships? So dating, going online. So you met your husband online dating. What app was it? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, no one's ever heard of it. It was 17 years ago. It was called Nerve. You probably don't know it. Nerve.
And how many dates did you go on before you found him?
Oh, can't count. Lots and lots.
Wow.
I did it for years before we met. And really it was I was working actually as a casting director at the time. And I was teaching classes for actors and how to market themselves and really have headshots that told their story and that would stand
Wow.
out to someone that goes through hundreds of headshots a day. And it dawned on me the similarities between online dating and what I was telling actors. And I was like, oh, if I crop my pictures to get to focus the eye where I want them to see and where the right kind of the colors to get his attention, and I tell my story visually, could that work in dating? And it ends up that those are two very similar things. So your dating profile really is like a headshot, and
Yeah.
your bio is like your resume, and the first date is like an audition. So once I applied those techniques, that's when I ended up meeting my husband. But believe me, I did it the wrong way for a long time, which is why I'm really passionate about showing people that there is a right way to do online dating and ultimately dating apps. I've been doing this 15 years, so I've seen the whole evolution, and
So
it's
somebody
changed.
somebody could come to you and say, okay, like I've been looking, I've been dating, I can't find anybody. Can you help me with my profile and my approach to dating? And you can help guide them.
That's exactly what I do.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so
How do you
cool.
know what you want?
How do you know what you want?
Do you
Yeah.
help people
Oh, yeah,
figure out what they want? Yes.
yeah, that is. I'm so glad you asked that question because most people don't. But a lot of times, someone will come to me and they'll say, "Well, I'll know it when I see it." I don't like. I ask them to describe what they're looking for, and they're like, "I'll know it when I see it." If you're waiting to see it, you'll never see it. You have to
Okay.
do that. You have to do that planning and that inner work. So I do that in a lot of different ways. I have people visualize. I have
Yes.
meditations I'll have them do. I'll do vision boards. I'm
Ah,
trying
yes.
something new
Love
with a
that.
client doing like a word cloud this week of these are all the qualities, and then going back to that list, taking all those qualities and then really synthesizing it down to what does this person believe? What are their core values? And what are the most important goals for the future that you need to share? Other than that, I don't really care how tall he is. I don't care how much money he makes. All
Mm.
of those things do not really add up to the kind of person that you're going to end up blending your life with.
What if you have somebody that you know or in your family, your sister or whatever, and they're like, I've always wanted a tall, dark, and handsome man. And like, if I can't find that tall, dark, and handsome man that fits someone that I might want, then I just don't think I'm ever going to find anyone. Because I feel like a lot of people that get frustrated with online dating.
Yeah, Nat won't date anybody. Well, she's married, but if she was to go again, she wouldn't date anyone who is shorter than like 6'2".
Oh, I've been thrashed in the media for saying that people should set aside their height restrictions. I really believe that that is one of the main limiting factors. And what we do numbers. I look at it very strategically. I'm like, okay, here's your dating pool. We start with now all the eligible men in the world. And then you only want men who are this tall. Well, I don't have the stat in front of me, but something like 10% of men are over
Yeah.
6 feet, right? Or I think it might even be less than that. So okay, now we've knocked down your pool 10%. Then you're like, he has to make X number of dollars per year. Okay, now it's this. Now he also has to have brown hair and blue eyes. Well, now we've got 10 guys.
You
So
better hold on to your guy, Nat, is what she's saying is you got a tall guy, don't let him go.
yeah,
I got my eyes on lots of tall guys.
It's okay to look. You're married, you're not dead. But
Yeah.
Do you believe in soulmates?
action. No, I don't believe in soulmates.
Thank you.
I believe in many possible soulmates. I do not believe in the one.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of people get fixated on this idea of the one, and it keeps them from even moving into a relationship, or it keeps them in this period, this place of like questioning, is this guy that I'm with the one? Is there a soulmate out there that maybe I missed?
Right.
And relationships, as you both know, they require work. They require self development, personal development. They require communication. Nobody comes to you in the perfect package with the perfect communication and you have no problems for the rest of your life. That's just not reality.
I think it's so important you touch upon that because I think, again, as women, we were taught that we are basically supposed to find that. My belief is that you're supposed to find someone to fulfill everything in your whole life. So they're supposed to be your everything and you can't live without them. And,
and then sometimes when people do think that they found that, and then all of a sudden they realize that they need more and that one person isn't everything, they're like devastated, like, oh my gosh, do we need to get a divorce? Whereas Kat and I are like, oh my gosh, we've got each other for this package of our life, we've got our husbands for this family. Like, one person doesn't have to fulfill all of your buckets.
No, they shouldn't either.
No.
And I'm a huge fan of dating apps, obviously. Since that's how I met my husband. That's how most of my clients have met their matches. But I will say one downside is that it has enabled people to believe that that ideal is attainable, that finding somebody that checks every single box is attainable because look, now we have the whole world to choose from. And some of the apps, you can still go down the list and check what is their racial preference? What is your height preference? How much money do they make? You can check all these things. And so there's this feeling of being able to control all of those elements when ultimately that's not, as you know, what really goes into a successful relationship.
And they're going to lose their job at one point, and they're going to, they're going to change the way they look, and they're going to change and grow up, and they're going to gain weight, and they're going to be all,
and you're going to gain weight too.
Yeah, you're definitely going to gain weight,
so yeah, you're right. I think that so many married women definitely feel like if they could redo it, they would have. Everyone thinks there's someone perfect out there, and I'm like, you're just going to exchange somebody, if you want to get rid of that one because you think there's something better.
Like the grass is always greener, like they say.
Just be careful because someone else is coming along with a whole bag of issues. Like, he might be funnier than your husband now, but he
might be richer, but
he might have skid stains in his underwear every day, you never know.
Okay, I have to tell you, I really feel like I missed out on a whole world because I met my husband, and at the time, like, not as many, like, you were ahead of the curve online dating. Okay.
Oh yeah, we didn't tell people that's how we met. No.
And I feel like I've, like, in my life, I hope I get another life so I can come back and do online dating. I feel like it seems like such a fun thing, and I don't ever get to be a part of it. I mean,
and then all of the single moms listening are like, no, Nat, you do not want this. You do not want this.
I know.
So I've had it both ways. I've done it and I loved it. And I love being married and hope I never have to go back online again. But
you don't miss, like, swiping around and checking out people?
Well, I get to do it for my clients.
Oh, you're so lucky. You created a world to
So
love.
just find a single friend that you can swipe for.
Okay,
but I mean, how many of your single friends are like, honey, just take my phone. Like, I don't even care anymore. Right.
They literally,
but that comes out of not having the process around it and maybe doing it the wrong way, not having the right photos that tell your story, having this 20-point list that doesn't add up to the kind of person you really want to be with. And so all of those pressures that we put on ourselves to find that soulmate, they cause a lot of stress and anxiety within the dating process. And then the big thing that dating apps have done, which I think is ultimately good, it's sped up dating and it's increased opportunity. So all of, the same douchebags and idiots are out there, right?
Yep.
but now you're just meeting more of them because before, like, if a woman divorced in her 40s or 50s, how many dates would she have in a year? Maybe one, maybe two. Like, she had to hope that somebody in her kids' class got divorced so she could come in and snatch a man, right?
It's like, they're divorced too. You should go out. What are they like? I don't know, but you're both divorced. You should go.
No, but you should go. It'll work.
so many people say like, oh my gosh, there's all these douchebags, like all the guys online are douchebags, but you're right. It's just that you're coming across more people.
And it's the same douchebags. I met them in the bars before when I was single. It's
Yeah.
those same guys, they're there, but
Yeah.
you have to have a process around filtering through it. And now I really feel like see the opportunity that's there. I've helped women in their 70s who hadn't had dates in 20 or 30 years to call. They've called me and been like, Damona, I have 3 dates this weekend. And I'm like, honey, this is revolutionary, but I've done it time and
I
time
feel like
again. Because before
you
if you were in
clarified,
the 70s,
you help
weren't gonna
people
get pregnant.
clarify what they're looking for so they can find what they want. You like clear out the noise, and you're like, rather than just meet your soulmate on the corner of the street because you faint and he is the cop that, you know, saves you. You're the one who's really like, you know,
You're in control. You help them realize what they're looking for, and then they as women are able to control their dating life a lot more than just being at the beck and call of a man who might cross their path. You have the coolest job.
I do have the coolest job. Thank you for saying so.
Okay,
But you
but
really nailed it. You really nailed
Yeah.
it. That it's you do have control over who you choose to be with. And when I'm working with someone, I give them the process that gives them that control. And it's like you were saying earlier, Kat, we've seen so many rom-coms and we think it's supposed to just magically happen. And then we meet the man, we lock eyes, and it's just not that anymore. But I think it's given way to even more opportunity to find somebody that really fulfills you on a deep level, and not your soulmate, but somebody that you can really build a life with.
Oh, this
Okay.
is such an optimistic way of looking
It's
at online dating. Everybody needs to hear you talk.
Before we let you go, because we know you have a million things to do, what about what age do you think children should start? Not children, that's the wrong word. What age do you think online, do you have to be 18 to online date, or are teens doing it, or are they just meeting in school?
Some apps, technically yes, it depends on where you are, but yeah, technically yes, you should be 18 before you start doing dating apps. But the funny thing is now TikTok is a dating app. I just did a Dates and Mates episode on that.
What?
Instagram is a dating app. Facebook has a dating app. You have to be 18, but people think of online dating as just, Match.com and Bumble,
Tinder. I guess
Tinder.
that's sex.
Yeah, well, we could get in a whole conversation about that. The app is how you use it, not necessarily the pool people.
Oh, okay. Good
Slide
to
into
know.
someone's DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, but now it's all going down in the DMs, and all of that is part of your dating profile and your dating identity, because people will go and do the research. They'll go and do the research. So you have to think about that. And I know it's scary as moms. And I have a 10-year-old, so we talk about sex, we talk about dating already.
Okay, I wanted to know, you do. So will you help her with, like, will she be able to date at 15 and know exactly what she wants? Or is that part of the process, is going through a few jerks to find, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a mom, is there anything you could do for your kids to help them through this? Like, if you hate your kid's boyfriend, are you like, you're a terrible person?
I mean, yeah. How many douchebags did we date? I mean,
lots.
I don't know about you, but we learn through. I believe that no experience is wasted. I think we learn through each relationship and each interaction that we have. So all I can do is help her have self-respect and help her develop boundaries and enforce them, and trust that she's going to make good decisions. And sometimes she's going to make bad decisions, but hope that I've given her enough knowledge that she's going to be okay either way.
I love your perspective on all of this. Like, first of all, I think we see it so much the way you see it. You get to do this as a job, which is so cool. I still feel left out that I never got to online date and come to you and you could help me make my profile. But you know what? Life is long. You never know.
I hope I never see you in my office. But
I know.
If so,
how can people find you?
You can find me through the Dates and Mates podcast and on all the socials at Damona Hoffman or at damonahoffman.com.
You are literally the easiest person to talk to. And I would wonder how many clients would be like, well, are you interested in, because you're just such a like beaming soul. I can't.
And people try to date her.
Yeah, all the men have clients.
Just find me a woman like you.
Yeah, literally, find me a woman like you.
Thank you. I will take the compliment. The feeling is mutual, and I'm so glad that I was able to be on the show today.
Well, we really appreciate it, and it will go live, and we can't wait to tell everybody about you. And you have so much great content on your Instagram, not just if you're dating, but just for life in general, and such great conversation. So appreciate it so much.
Thank you. All right. Be well.
See you later.